I thought I was going to be this budding football player, but I had a big personality. I was a people person, that you're not going to be liked by everyone. I see that a lot of people, when they start to take on senior roles, they want everybody to like them. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be disliked, but you have to be able to make tough decisions. Yeah, everybody needs someone. Everybody will look back on their careers and say, oh, that person helped me there. That person put me up for that job. No one day is the same in my job, and I can really stand on that. No day is the same. It depends what it is. That's a loaded question. It depends what it is. Is it about making a massive decision on a system that's going to change the future of the business? It's a loaded question.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Today's guest is Ayo Akinsete, a former aspiring footballer at West Ham United who pivoted from pitch to become a C-suite executive in global hospitality. After earning a sports scholarship in the US and later a master's in hotel management, a chance conversation at university sparked a passion for hospitality that reshaped his career path. Ayo has since launched and led major hotel brands, including Gansrud, Dreams Hotel, and SH Hotels, and now serves as Chief Operating Officer of the Dean's Hotel Group. In this conversation, we explore how he navigated a life-changing career shift, the leadership lessons he carried from sports to business, and what it takes to uncover and pursue a new passion with purpose. Stay tuned if you're interested in career pivots, leadership in hospitality, or finding purpose beyond your first dream. Welcome, Ayo. Thank you for joining me today.
Bella, how you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Fantastic. Happy
Good,
to be here.
good. So for those who don't know you, can you just share a bit more about your background and what you're doing now?
Well, thank you for the lovely introduction. I think that you failed to mention the most important part, that I'm your older brother, and I'm happy to be on here supporting your podcast and really proud of you.
Thank you.
You gave a good intro, thank you. But honestly, you hit the nail on the head with most things. Yep. So, like you said, I started as a YTS I started at West Ham United, where from the age of 12, went on to be a YTS there and played some games in the reserves, got released from there, unfortunately. And then I was able to get a few opportunities to go to the USA on a soccer scholarship. I didn't want to continue down the route of going down the lower league. So this opportunity presented itself to me, and I had a few full rides, as they call it, at a few schools in the USA. I went to the University of South Carolina. After that, I ended up getting a master's at UNLV, which is in Las Vegas. And then after a long night out one day in Vegas, I realized that the Vegas wasn't going to be for me. And I was fortunate enough to meet an owner of a hotel group, Michael Ackenbaum, called the Gansevoort, and he gave me an opportunity to come and open my first hotel in New York City, the Gansevoort, and the rest is history, as they say.
I love that. As you've mentioned, you obviously started out in football and then you were at one point, of course, pursuing your career in football. So what was that journey actually like?
It was amazing, getting picked up when you're 10, 11 years old to go and play for a Premier League team. You're going to trainings 3 times a week. You're playing against other Premier League teams of your age. You're meeting the first team. You're traveling around. You're meeting some great friends. It was really a great experience. Um, as you get along, as you get older in it, it gets a bit more serious and it becomes more of a job. I left school when I was 16 to be a YTS. We did continue with our education.
Sorry,
However,
I don't know. What does YTS actually stand for?
that is a very good question. I can't even remember now. Youth trainee scheme or something. I'd have to follow up on that. I forgot what it's actually. It's a good question. I'd have to Google that for you.
It's basically below a certain.
Yeah, it's exactly YTS at the age of when everybody is finishing their GCSEs, you go off on with a contract to go and play under 17s, under 18s, and under 19s. And at that time, then you also go onto the reserves. And then if you make it through there, you go onto the first team. But overall, great experience. Met some of my closest friends, and also I learned a lot. I learned a lot of transferable skills from football that I do actually put into play today in my career in hospitality and hotels.
Amazing, cool. And so how did you actually then begin to navigate what was next after stepping away from football?
It was an interesting one. So once I got released, I had to figure out what I was going to do next. And, I spent a little bit of time in London. I was fortunate enough to be given an opportunity to go and work for, it was a stockbroker at the time. It was a fund in London. I realized that wasn't going to be for me. I still did like to play football, but it wasn't going to happen on the big stage. So a great friend of mine now, actually, and a former teacher of mine, Peter Harris, said, "Why don't you try and pursue what you're doing in the USA and also get an education at the same time?" As you know, with our African mother, she was very happy to hear that I'd be continuing my studies and getting a degree. And also, I'd also be able to play football there. So what was amazing is that the facilities and the coaches and the physios were second to none. It was as good as I had in at West Ham. But at the same time, I was also able to get a hospitality degree from the University of South Carolina.
Cool. And so, what actually led you to hospitality? Was that actually intentional, or did the opportunity come through experience or through connections?
Be honest, it was a bit of me liking hospitality, the thought of it, being a people person. And then honestly, there was a teacher, a transfer teacher from Las Vegas that I was sitting in the class one day, at the back of the class as you do as an athlete, not really paying attention. And she came and she called me out and she gave me a kick on the foot and said, "Hey, you'd actually be good at hospitality, and you should go to Las Vegas to get a master's," because I was coming to the end of my education and I didn't really want to go back to the UK. So that opportunity led me to doing a master's at UNLV on a holiday during 2000, the early mid 2000s, late 2000s. I was on holiday in Turks and Caicos and met the owner of a hotel group called the Gansevoort. Like I mentioned earlier, I realized I wasn't going to be into the casino side of things. So I just sent Michael an email and I said, "Hey, would you have a job for me?" And he said, "Sure, move to New York and open a hotel called the Gansevoort." At the time, I didn't even know what it meant to open a hotel, to be honest. So I packed up a U-Haul, drove across country, opened the hotel, and really just fell in love with the industry. And I've been in it ever since.
You have to give a shout out to whoever that person was then that said, "Hey, you'd be good at this."
Yeah, she's actually passed away, sadly, and she was a great woman, and she was a really close friend of mine and the family.
Yeah. So, looking back, what skills from your time as a footballer transferred into your career now? I mean, you've mentioned initially there are some that you're using. Which ones would you say are the key ones?
Fundamentally, to run a hospitality company and to run hotels, it really requires teamwork. So whether that be the revenue team, the engineers, the sales and marketing team, the guest service agents, the sales team, there's so many people that play a part in making a successful hotel hospitality company. And it's really no different from a football team. You have your coaches, you have your managers, you have the GMs, you have different positions, you have physios, and you all have to work together for a common goal. I was fortunate enough to be a captain at some of my teams, and that skill set, learning how to lead a team and inspire people to a one to a, for one common goal, really transfers over to what I do now. Yeah, so really, it's really the teamwork and bringing people together to one common goal.
Yeah, yeah. And so, do you feel like now that you've obviously moved into hospitality, and even I that know you know how passionate you are about like your career and the industry that you're in, was there a moment where things just clicked and you thought, yeah, this really feels right?
Yeah, definitely. In my first job at the Gansevoort, the job I moved from Las Vegas to New York, I was just in the swing of things, and I was loving seeing how happy we as employees were making the guests. And we talk about surprising and delighting guests and the anticipation of guest needs. And it's something that I really tell my team continuously. Ultimately, I call us we're fun slingers. In my style of hotel, which are lifestyle hotels where we have great food and beverage, great venues, great rooms. People book our hotels for the experience. So the onus is on us as a team to really provide that experience to our guests. And as hospitality has moved along, the word luxury is really morphed, and what people are looking for, what luxury means to people now, is great experiences. And I love being able to play a part in providing that. So that's really where the fun is for me now. Ultimately, we're a business. We have P&Ls, we have owners, we have key stakeholders, we have NOI targets. It's not a non-profit. But for me, if you take care of taking care of guests and taking care of your employees, for the most part over my career, everything else has taken care of itself.
So you knew pretty early on then, isn't it? Like you say, because Gansevoort was one of the first ones, wasn't it?
Yeah, I knew really early on, and I knew that I was going to be able to have a good career in it. When I was a guest service agent, when you check in, my first role was, when you come into the hotel, welcome, Mrs. Akinsete. I see you're staying here for 2 nights in a Platinum King, and we've upgraded you to a suite. I love that, and also early on in my career, guests would come to me and gravitate to me as they believed I was a manager, and I wasn't a manager at the time. And I also had some great mentors along the way that really showed me that hospitality, I could have a great career in hospitality.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of people are scared about having to change career paths or, pivot into something unknown. What do you think people misunderstand about career changes or pivots?
Honestly, career changes and pivots are just ultimately part of the journey for me, right? Though I thought I was going to be this budding football player. I had a big personality. I was a people person. I used to take care of people, my team members on the pitch, and ultimately that transferred into hospitality. And there are pivots even within the industry, right? Even within your own career, that sometimes you may be in a job that you're like, oh, is this the right role for me? Even though it's within the business. But for me, what I have found is that each part plays a key role in developing where you're going to be. And even when things seem tough at the time, those tough moments are only going to make you stronger in the future. And I've had many experiences where I've been in a role where it hasn't been going so well, but what I learned in that job has prepared me for what I'm doing today. It's actually made me a stronger and a better operator from a hospitality and hotel standpoint.
Yeah, yeah. And so do you think we put too much pressure on having a linear or perfect, for want of a better word, a perfect career path?
Yeah, I mean, yes, you do see that in many careers. However, I do think that in this world of life, nothing is linear. And you do have to be able to sometimes take the path less traveled, and you have to trust the process and really believe that you will find what is meant for you. I'm a big believer what is meant for you will be. And it's really about just staying focused, working hard, and not being deterred, and really learning from the tough lessons that we all have to go through during our career progression.
Yeah. But you know what? I feel like with that question that I even asked, sometimes understanding that comes with time. Because I think even I thought at one point you just have to keep climbing the ladder, keep climbing the ladder, keep climbing the ladder. But actually, sometimes you even have to take a side step or a step back to kind of go
Yeah, I
forward.
say that often. Sometimes you have to give time. I often speak to kids coming out of, or students coming out of university, and they all want my role. They all want to be VPs and they want to be managers, but there's something to be said about experience. There's the IO of 2010 in hospitality is very different from the IO of 2026 in hospitality. There are just things that fundamentally studies will not teach you. You have to have some lived experiences.
Mm, yeah, 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 yeah. And so you obviously have done this massive pivot. You've done so well. So now you're operating at C-suite level in hospitality. How did that leap actually happen? Was it literally that, as you mentioned, for you, it was just chance? You met somebody, you emailed them, and it worked out. And I guess if it is, what would you say if you're given? Not everybody's that lucky that it just works out that way. What leap or what advice would you give to somebody that does want to take that leap?
Question. There's a few things, right? You have to believe in yourself, number one, right? Because no one else is going to believe in you, number one. an example, I remember that I was at a hotel. I was a hotel manager. I'll leave the place unnamed. And I had an opportunity to become a general manager, to go for, I was very young at the time, to go from being a hotel manager to a general manager. And another hotel manager said to me, Aya, you shouldn't take this role. You should just be the best hotel manager you can be. And I said to myself, actually, no, I believe I can do this role. And I really went for it. So believing in myself was always played a key role. Really trusting the process, learning from the best lessons that I've learned are the what not to do's along the way. When I've seen people above me in other roles, senior roles, and really learned from that. Outworking everyone. I'm a big believer that you may be smarter than me, but you're never going to outwork me. And when I've taken on these new roles, I haven't had, there's this thing that people talk about imposter syndrome. I go into a role and I believe that I can do that role. And then, yes, I've had some fantastic mentors along the way that have really given me opportunities because I have worked very hard and I have shown them that I was keen to take on the next step. And ultimately, yes, there's a bit of luck, right? Right place, right time. I was in the US with an English accent and bouncing around from city to city. It would be remiss of me not to say a bit of that played into it. But ultimately, I believe I am where I'm supposed to be, and I do believe that if you work hard and you focus on that and you listen, active listen, that you can make that next step jump.
Yeah, yeah. So um to kind of summarize, you have to believe in yourself, mentorship, you can't take that for granted, have to outwork people, and then sometimes a sprinkle of luck.
Yeah, everybody needs someone. Everybody will look back on their careers and say, "Oh, that person helped me there. That person put me up for that job. Wow, this person wasn't able to take this job and it came my way." And you have to be ready to pounce on the opportunity when it comes. Too often, opportunities come up for people and they're hesitant, and that doesn't allow them to take the next step. Whereas me, if there's an opportunity for me, I would always jump on it and grab the ball by two horns, as they say.
Yeah. But one thing I feel like with you as well, you do go where the opportunity is. So you know how you said that hotel manager said, come and just move to New York, or I know you've lived in so many different I sometimes call you a nomad because you've just lived in so many places. So I feel like, don't you think that's one you have to kind of go where the
Yeah,
opportunity?
definitely, definitely. If I could have just stayed in one place for a long time and continued, but I also had obviously my wife Sheila. She's also been a great support structure for me and also for our family. You also have to have a partner or whatever the case is for someone that will support you to make those moves. I could still be in New York today if I really wanted to, but I had to take that leap to Miami, back to New York, to LA. I had to make that leap to the UK, back home to take the role with SH. So yes, you do also have to grab the opportunity, and sometimes that doesn't work for someone's life, but for me it did, and I was fortunate that I was able to do that.
And so you've spoken about kind of the mindset for somebody that wants to pivot careers or pivot industries or pivot into, a new role. What were some of the biggest mind shifts required to step into executive leadership?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it really starts earlier on. When you go from being a front office manager to a hotel manager to a general manager. One of the things I learned early is that you're not going to be liked by everyone. I see that a lot of people, when they start to take on senior roles, they want everybody to like them. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be disliked, but you have to be able to make tough decisions. And what I've found over the years is that being a straight shooter and making tough decisions, while team members and employees might not like it, in the long run, they will respect it as they know where they stand with you. So that's a really, really key part in taking an executive role. You also have to sometimes make decisions that aren't great for few people, but are great for the wider organizations. A lot of people had to make those decisions, at the 2008 crisis, when the COVID pandemic was happening. There were really tough decisions that had to be made while not great for few, were best for the wider organizations. And ultimately, you have to make decisions that are weightier. They have higher gravitas, right? That will impact an organization as a whole versus just your one department. So those are those are the key things the key items that you have to be ready for from a mindset shift. Sorry.
Yeah. But you know what? Don't you think also though, at any level also, you don't necessarily have to, I always say like, you don't have to be liked by everyone, especially when you work in massive, I've worked in such large organizations and there's so many different personalities, backgrounds, ways of thinking, opinions. But I think as long as there's a level of respect, that's what is.
Yeah, as long as listen, for me, one of the top things in my role is honesty and transparency. You know, I
Yeah.
always say to my team, I'm an open book. They know where they stand with me. There's no vagueness in what I'm saying, and while it can be quite to the point and direct, for the most part, my teams and the people that I've worked with have always respected it, and it's allowed for the organization to move forward in a positive nature because there's no ambiguity in what the goals are and how we need and what we need to do to achieve those goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, what's something people might not realize about leading in the hotel industry specifically?
Yeah, it's a good question. The variety of the job, and that's one thing that's why I love what I do. I can go from looking at P&Ls and understand, trying to understand why my labor is often in a specific property or in a specific department, to looking at sales and marketing plans, to launch parties, to looking at revenue, to dealing with different tech installations, to launching new properties, to figuring out how to resolve energy issues because one property's energy is off. It's just such a diverse industry. And it's an industry that basically touches everything if you really think about it, because everybody eats and everybody has to sleep. So I get everybody within my business from all walks of life and different industries. And during my time over the years in all the different cities, I've met so many interesting people. So really, yeah, it's the variety of the job. No one day is the same in my job, and I can really stand on that. No day is the same.
Yeah, yeah. A roller coaster. Mhm.
Yeah, a fun one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know because I know how much you actually like love working in the industry. So you've been in leadership for a number of years now. How has your leadership style evolved over the years?
Good question. Really, for me, over the years, when I first started as a leader, I was quite one size fits all. And as I've grown over the years, and I've had more direct report lines and people from different backgrounds and also different industries, I've realized that you have to have different ebbs and flows in your leadership style. You can't have a one size fits all for every single person on your team. You know, one person on my team might need a bit of a G up and a bit of a more excitable talk to, or one another person might just need to be sat down and work through the steps, and you know, a little bit of a calmer approach, because one way might negatively affect another employee. So really it's about having different ebbs and flows and knowing your team and really getting to know them and what makes them tick, and then having the ability to continuously apply gentle pressure to get the best out of the team.
Gentle pressure. I've not heard that term, you know.
It's actually from one of my favorite books, Danny Meyer, Setting the Table. It's a fantastic book about hospitality, and he talks about his role as the CEO of his business is to continuously apply gentle pressure.
I might have to read that. And so you've actually touched on it, I think. But just to go a bit deeper in terms of, you know, you've said, but previously it was like one size fits all, but actually now you've realized it's almost like, I wouldn't say customized, but let's say customized for want of a better word in terms of how you manage people. How do you create space for others on your team to grow, experiment, or even pivot
Mm.
like you did?
Number one, it starts in the hiring process, right? You've got to hire correctly. I'm a big believer in that you hire slow and fire fast, right? You take And that sounds harsh, but ultimately it's worked for me, right? I'm especially in key positions. I'm meticulous when it comes to hiring. And I also involved other key stakeholders, even if these team members don't report to them, just because we all have blind spots and we all have biases that we might lean towards. So I always have at least three or four team members meet the team when I'm hiring someone. I make sure that when I'm hiring people for specific roles, I hire people that are smarter than me in their specific vertical. If I do that, then the power for me is just ensuring that I guide them correctly and I ask the right questions. And if you do that, it goes back to my previous statement about continuously applying gentle pressure that will allow them to thrive. I'm a big believer in praising quickly and also correcting quickly. And I also say to my teams, that if you get to the end of the year and you do a and we do a review and you don't know what I'm going to say, I have failed you as a leader, right? So really hiring correctly, praising and correcting during the process, involving other people during the process, and having the ability to know that you hire people in their role to do a job and to let them do that job and to give them the tools and the support to thrive.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, like you said, it sounds a little bit harsh, some of it, but I guess it gets the right results and helps you to guide people rightly. So, do you know what? One thing you just said that I've also heard people say that about those that are in business, where they always say, hire everyone you hire should be smarter than you in the areas of what they're doing.
Everyone on my team. Listen, I'm somewhat of a generalist, right? I know enough to be dangerous, so you can't take me around the houses. So and I'm a student of the game, and I really study all of the different verticals within the business. But for you to be successful, you've got to go and get the best in different, whether that be sales, revenue, engineering, front office, development. I can't be the expert of everything, right? I need to know enough to be dangerous. But the power again for me is being able to ask the right questions when I'm in the room with these people.
Yeah. And so you've seen a lot, you've done a lot, and you're still doing a lot. If you could speak to your younger self, the one who just realized actually football wasn't the path, what would you say?
Give time. Everything's not going to happen overnight. Be kind to yourself during the process. Because we all have a tendency to be really tough on ourselves, and it's something that I say to my team and actually my kids quite a lot. Be kind to yourself and trust your gut.
That's
Those
a
are the things that I would say to myself when I was younger.
Yeah, I like that. Trust your gut.
Yeah, too many times I've not trusted my gut, and I've something hasn't been right, and I've been like, I should have trusted my gut.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that brings me to the end of the main questions, but there's this last thing that I like to do with everyone, and I call it like quick fire questions. So I'm
Bonus
going to give
time.
you, so I'm going to give you, I'm going to come up with you with questions, and you just have to
Okay.
select one or the other. Are
Okay.
you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Plan everything or go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
Big risk with big reward or steady progress with security.
Ooh. Is there a middle answer there?
No, there's not. It's one or the other.
All right, big risk, big reward.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends what it is. That's a loaded question. It depends what it is. Am I in Vegas on the poker table with ace and everybody's all in and I could triple up? Or is it about making a massive decision on a system that's going to change the future of the business? It's a loaded question.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Follow your passion or follow the opportunity.
Follow the opportunity. But again, I was lucky because I followed the opportunity and was happy to be my passion. Again, loaded question.
You're so funny. Okay. Mentor someone or be mentored.
Mentor someone.
Such a giver. Work hard or work smart.
Again, I mean, you got to do both.
But if
Work
you had to
smart.
pick one, which one would get you
Work
quicker?
smart.
Okay. Success by design or success by accident?
Success by design.
And last but not least, regret not trying or regret failing?
Not trying 100%.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Ayo. That is the conclusion of all of our questions. I'm so glad you've actually joined me. I think you've been the hardest guest to get on here, to be honest with you. But
Sorry, I've got two kids. So I'm running around trying to run hotels.
Oh, that's okay. They are my niece and nephew. But no, thank you so much for joining me. You always know that I'm so proud to call you my brother. Honestly, I always respect your hustle, your craft, everything you do. I learn so much from you. And I know everybody that tunes into this episode is going to be lucky enough to learn from you too. So thank you for joining me. And yes, I look forward to continuing to watch you on your journey as your sister.